Hello. I thought I would add to the gap that I feel like is in the coverage of the Women's World Chess Championship. Not a lot of coverage, and it seems like FIDE has more or less messed things up with this as with many other things. We don't even have live commentary in English. But yeah, so basically the Women's World Chess Championship is being played right now in China. And between two Chinese players, neither one of them being Hou Yifan, the #1 rated women player in the world. She did not participate in this cycle. The cycle, they play for the championship every year, and one year it is a 64 player knockout tournament, and the year after that it is a match. So Tan Zhongyi is the current world champion. She won the 64 player knockout tournament, beating Mosichuk in the final. And meanwhile, the challenger is Ju Wenjun, who won the Women's Grand Prix. Now, yeah, I mentioned Hou Yifan because, well, I don't know if she's coming back to it. She has won it 4 times. But maybe she's going the route of Judith Polgar, the greatest female player of all times, who didn't at any point play in the Women's World Championship. She wanted to play among the men. But we're not going to have this discussion of why we have Women's World Championship. I can direct you to a nice blog post by Susan Polgar where she answers this in detail. But we're going to have a look at this match. Ju Wenjun. She is the rating favorite actually. She's rated 25.71 versus 25.22 from Tan Zhongyi. Both of these women are grandmasters, of course. And Ju Wenjun is the world rapid champion. The match is played in China. 10-game match. The first 5 games are played in Shanghai, where Ju Wenjun is from. And the other 5 are played in Chongqing, where Tan is from. But without further ado, let's have a look at the first game. And Ju Wenjun had the white pieces. She opened with d4, d5 from Tan. Already a slight surprise, as she likes to play mostly the Nimzo Indian defense. And after c4, d takes c4, the first time Tan has played this. So of course in matches we have these, interesting dynamics where both sides are trying to surprise each other. And also it's difficult because they're quite good friends, probably play a lot of tournaments together, so know a lot about each other. But the Queen's Gambit accepted. I mean, it's got the stamp of approval from Caruana, who has been playing the Petrov and the Queen's Gambit accepted in many games. So very, very solid opening to try to equalize the game. We have e4 from Wenjun. Okay, opening up for the bishop, you want to win the pawn. Here the most common move is e5. When, well, at least in the past, the main line used to run like this: knight f3 takes, bishop takes, knight c6. White is sacrificing a pawn. But after castles, black decides to relieve the pressure by giving up the pawn. This double attack here on b7, queen d7, and white usually takes here on b7, and it's actually around equal. But Tan had other ideas. He played c5. Okay, white tries to maintain the pawn center with d5, and black tries to undermine with e6. Okay, pressure on d5, so naturally we regain the pawn on c4. The Queen's Gambit very often isn't really a gambit because white isn't sacrificing a pawn most of the time. Knight f6, knight c3, both sides develop with pressure and defense on the d5 square, where the battle is at the moment. a6 by black, she wants to play b5, and then, well, maybe bishop b7, pressure on d5. and white can't really allow that, so a4 to prevent b5, and bishop to d6. Here the main move is queen to e2. This was not played by Ju Wenjun, and this is considered to give white somewhat of a pleasant edge here. You can go for the endgame or play bishop g5. In both cases with a pleasant position for white. But seems like Ju Wenjun didn't want to trade queens, and after bishop d6 she played knight to f3. Tan took the opportunity to castle here. White castled at bishop to g4. Okay, white put the question on bishop to h5, bishop to g5, and now we see both sides. Well, black finishing development after rook e8 and then knight b to d7. White decides she has enough protection on the d5 pawn, so gets the bishop on better diagonal, and now knight b to d7. So both sides have got their pieces out. So now what to do? Okay, white wants to, going by classical principles, you want to get the queen out and connect the rooks. Then think about where you want to put the rooks. But you have this pin to deal with, so you can't really move the queen at the moment. So you, at this point, decides to play knight to e4. Okay, utilizing the pin, so black can take here. And they're putting some pressure on some pieces here. But Tan went for knight e5 here, which is a double-edged move. And now you start to see some complications. Ju Wenjun plays at g4, unpinning, and of course threatening the bishop. And now we have a lot of tension. There's tension on f6. Here there's tension on e5, and likewise black has some options with his own pieces. So a lot of things going on. I mean, bishop g6 is a fine move here, but Tan Zhongyi went with knight takes at d3. You used the opportunity to double the pawns here with bishop takes f6, pawn takes, and queen takes on d3. Bishop g6 is absolutely forced, and now we have an interesting situation. White has the pair of knights against black's pair of bishops. On the other hand, black does have a little bit of bad pawns to deal with here on the king side. At the moment, knight on e4 is attacked, so rook a to e1 first. And now, a counterintuitive move, queen to e7. And yeah, this might be okay, because, usually we don't want to line up our pieces in such a way. The knight moves, it will attack the queen. But at the moment, white is dealing with a pin of his own, of the e4 knight. And even if it wasn't pinned, the only dangerous, discovery is knight takes c5. That's, we're not going to lose any heavy material. So okay, knight fd2 first. There was of course the pressure on e4, so white defends the knight. Now bishop to f4. Still no discoveries with the knight. Queen f3. Now actually we unpinned the knight, but still we're not threatening much because, well, this would hang, etc. Queen e5 now. Okay, we have to defend this bishop. And yet again the queen is in the line of fire, but again, no discoveries. And the thing now is that earlier we had the knight on f3, but now if we move the knight, both we are hanging d2 and let's say here black can just take on e1. So rook e2 was played here by Ju Wenjun, and f5 by Tan. Getting rid of the double pawns. Takes and takes. And I think at this point definitely black is for choice. Bishop pair and open position. But white is still really solid. I mean, this knight on e4 has a great stronghold, and white tries to keep hold of it with rook f to e1. Rook to e5 now. Black is getting ready to double. But knight c4 hits the rook. But now forcing sequence leading to some trades. And yeah, probably black has to go for it. And Tan goes for it. He plays bishop to h2. Discovered attack on the queen. Of course, we don't take the bishop because the queen is hanging. So king g2. This leads to a trade of queens. And then a trade of minor pieces and a pair of rooks. So we're left with a rook, a minor piece, and 5 pawns each. In general, we say that the bishop is better with pawns on each side, but this knight is a very well placed piece. I mean, we can play a5 to cement it, and we do have this pass pawn which has some potential. So I think I would say white is for choice here. So a nice save by Wenjun from the middle game that looked, slightly better for black, but not much. Okay, black wants to deal with the d pawn, so she plays rook to d8. b5 was also an option, just to kick the knight away. Knight to e3, protecting the pawn, and now b5. Takes, and the rook goes to the 7th. So we still have equal material, but white, okay, the knight is protecting the pawn, and white has some options of attacking black's pawns. White is for choice, but it's not by much. King f8, rook to a7. I was slightly surprised by this move. Why not rook b7 to attack the pawn? Bishop e5 now by Tan. And perhaps after rook b7, black had some ideas of rook b8. But either way, okay. Pawn is attacked now, so b3. And here Tan goes for the simplifications. He plays c4. Takes, and now if knight takes, then we get our desired simplification. Although there is king e4, but no rook d4 there. So let's have a look at that. If takes, rook takes d5, and it looks like we have a double attack here, but rook d4 saves the day, and we have complete and dead draw. So b takes c4. Ju Wenjun brought the king, so now she's threatening to take the pawn on c4. But first, rook e8, threatening a discovery. So king back to f3, and now pawn to c3. Unfortunately, there's not much life left in the position. After rook a6, rook c8, king back to e4. Attacking this, so if c2 we take, and take on e5. Bishop h2 happened, and now rook c6. Trying to win the pawn, so you kind of have to take. But now we're getting really close to completely dead draw, 95, and now it's only 2 pawns each. And this is not enough to win. But we did have some extra moves. Let's go over them quickly. King f5, bishop g1, attacking a pawn, defending it. h6, not allowing knight g5. And we don't have time for king f6. The king comes to e4. d5, sorry, attacking the knight on e4. And can't move it because this is hanging. So simplification would happen. Instead, we had king to e5. But black now just brings the king back. Bishop h2 check, king e7. And there's no way for either side to make any progress. I mean, white has a nominal edge because the knight is better here with pawns on only one wing, but you can't really do anything with it. I mean, in blitz or bullet you can play around and hope for a knight fork, but in a classical game there's nothing going to happen. So we see some back and forth moves here, but black now has a nicely placed bishop, just putting pressure on f4. Doesn't really have to do anything. h5, and that's the thing. f6, yeah, nice now. Not even allowing king g5. So after king f7, yeah, a draw was agreed. Black just keeps the pressure here and nothing to be done. Note that knight takes f6 is met with bishop takes f4. And this is not enough to win. We'll just maneuver the bishop, get it on this diagonal, and there's no way to win that. So a draw in the first game, but this was only the calm before the storm. As we're making this video, they played 4 games, so I'm going to try to catch up and follow the match till the end. So I hope you like this coverage. You know, leave some comments if you appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.